Him and Celebrini, man, in San Jose is going to be fun to watch. I'm excited for it. Welcome back to another episode, you beauties. I'm Zach, joined as always by Preston. We have a fun and jam-packed episode for you guys. It's New Year's Day we're doing this. It's going to be out on the 2nd. First off, Preston, how was your New Year's? I know you're getting over a sickness, but stop anybody.
Yeah, I think I had like a minor cold or sinus infection. I'm going to try to keep the sniffles and the coffee to a minimum on the recording as much as I can. If it does happen every once in a while, I deeply apologize if you're wearing headphones and it's just really loud all of a sudden. I'm sure Zach will do his best if that happens to try to edit any of that out. Thank you, Zach.
Of course.
Yeah, just spent it with my family, kind of chilling at home because I was sick and I couldn't really work. So, how was yours, Zach?
It was good. I didn't do anything at all. I worked from 8 to 4 yesterday. I skated. I played hockey for about an hour. Came home, ate, made one TikTok, and fell asleep at like 7. And I woke up at 6. So it was fun. I enjoyed it.
That's good though. You had a good day. That's all that
Did
matters.
you watch the Winter Classic yesterday?
Bits and pieces of it. I wanted to watch the start, but it started like a half hour after they said it was supposed to start at 5, but they had so much crap before the game. It was kind of ridiculous. They had like a concert, like I think the Smashing Pumpkins played, like the national anthem. They had like 3 ceremonial puck drops. It was kind of ridiculous.
Dude, the Winter Classic doesn't feel the same anymore, and I believe it was Chicago's second time that they hosted, their 5th time in a Winter Classic. They're 0-5. They're victims to the St. Louis Blues yesterday. I think they got killed 5-1. Was it?
I think it was
Something
6
like
to
that?
2 or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's nuts.
I want to look up the Blackhawks all-time record. Like, who I think this is their second time. I think they played the Blues in the Winter Classic. I think
Is
they
it
played them when
really?
they had it in St. Louis.
I did not know that actually.
Chicago's first Winter Classic was in 2015. So let's five. Oh, sorry, 2009. They were in the second one. They hosted the second one. They lost to Detroit 6-4. Then they played again in 2015. Well, they played Washington. They lost 2-3. Then they played in 2017. They played the Blues and they lost 4-1. They played okay, I might not be able to read. Oh, they played in Notre Dame Stadium in Indiana. They played the Bruins. They lost 4-2. And then yesterday they played in Wrigley Field again in Chicago, and they lost to the Blues 6-2. So yeah, they
Let's
have not they've had a couple one close game in the Winter Classic. The rest they've lost pretty
let's not
handedly.
have the Blackhawks in the Winter Classic for a while, for a long time. First off, okay, the Winter Classic's only been going on since 2008. They've already been in 5 of them. That's ridiculous. I don't think any other team has been in more than 2 or 3.
Pittsburgh and Boston have been in a lot of them too. I want to say Boston might be up there with Chicago with how many they played in.
I think Boston and Pittsburgh are each at 3, if I'm not mistaken.
I
I'm just
think
going off of memory.
I want to say Boston has played at least. They played in 4 of them. I'm looking at
Okay.
it right now. Pittsburgh, 1, 2, 3 for Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So, yes, Chicago, Boston, Pittsburgh. I think there's a few teams that have played in 2.
I know there's like the NHL used to have the Stadium Series and would have it in California and Florida and Texas and like these random southern
I think they're
locations.
bringing. Yeah, they still do the Stadium Series. So I
Do
think
they?
there's another outdoor game in Ohio State.
Is that when is that this year? That's February.
I want to say it's probably sometime in February. I know it's the Blue. I want to say it's the Blue Jackets or the Red Wings
Yeah, it
playing in
is the
that
Blue
game.
Jackets and Red Wings. I remember it being announced about 3
I
years
mean
ago.
that would be
so.
cool. Because that's like one of the biggest stadiums in the United
Well,
States. So
that's one thing that I want to bring up is like for all these outdoor games that they do, instead of doing it at like some I don't know Wrigley Field or like Fenway Park, like I know those are iconic to their sports and like stadium history and everything, but have it somewhere like I thought Notre Dame was really cool. I think Ohio State is like really do it in like these and in more iconic parks and
I mean,
like
but they have
fields.
though. I mean, they had Wrigley Field. I think they had it at Fenway.
But
Uh,
like we've already
yeah.
seen those about 25 times. Like go somewhere else. And maybe I'm just bitching the bitch with it.
One of my favorite outdoor games I ever did, and it ended up being a disaster because of the weather, was when they had it in
Yeah.
not Lake Placid.
It
In
was
the, I can't think of it's one of the lakes. I can't
wh-
remember.
I thought it was like Placid. But that
No, Lake Placid's in New York State. It was down in like the mountains. This is what they did like in the 2021 season instead of like doing the Winter Classic. Lake Tahoe, yeah. Yeah, so in 2021, they had 2 games in Lake Tahoe. Really, really beautiful venue. It was like right next to the lake. There was not really any fans there because it was during the 2021 season. I think it was just like the team staff and
Hmm.
family members at the game. So it was very intimate crowd, very small. The only problem was they tried having it in the day and it was a perfect day, and the problem was the sun was going right on the ice and it was melting the ice. Like it was cold enough outside. Just when you have direct sunlight on ice, it's gonna get a little wet. And I think they had to postpone the first game. It was Colorado and Vegas,
Hmm.
and they had to stop halfway through because like the players were like falling all over the place because the
They
ice was like in horrible
they
condition.
had to.
And then they had to move the other one to night.
Yeah, didn't they have to? They moved one from like mid afternoon to like 8 or 9 o'clock at night or something
And
like
then they
that.
moved the other one to the next day
Hmm. Yeah.
because they were supposed to be back to back, but the ice was so bad for the first one they had to stop it partway through. Then they had to like repair the ice, and then they pushed that game later in the day.
Hmm.
But that was a really cool venue. I like it when they kind of do out of the box ideas like that. Yeah, so there's one more outdoor game this year. Uh, yeah, it's the Stadium Series between Detroit and Columbus in Ohio State
I
Stadium.
I feel like outdoor games have kind of lost their aura, I guess. So how you can like they don't feel special anymore. Like it just feels like another game. Like yesterday, first off, okay, why not have the Winter Classic on New Year's Day like it always been? Have it be the lone game or like have it be the standalone game in a
Well,
certain
yeah, that's
time
what used to
slot.
make it special.
Right.
It was like an NFL primetime game was the only game on that day, and usually on New Year's Day, like especially in the early afternoon. Like I know they have the college football playoffs, but that's usually later in the day. Like you have it like a football time, like 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Like people are gonna watch that, especially in big hockey markets. I actually went to the first Winter Classic in 2008 in Buffalo, and I don't I was a kid then. I don't remember a lot of the game, but I could tell you I've never been in a hockey game like that before. It was just electric, being in a full 70,000 people in a football stadium to watch hockey, and it was beautiful. It was perfect weather. It was snowing, lake effect snow. It was a really really cool experience. So I think it's still special to go to those outdoor games, but watching it on TV, I feel like it's kind of lost its magic.
It definitely has, and on top of it, you schedule in the middle of a 13 game window too. Like that's just like
Yeah,
can't we
five
figure
o'clock in the
something
middle of the
else?
day on New Year's Eve. Like I don't know how many people watched it. It was on TNT, so
Hmm.
I figured ABC will carry a game like that because that's the everyone gets ABC.
Yeah, but
But they have the college football playoffs, and that's more important to them.
I mean, I it probably brings in way more money than the Winter Classic would. So I
Yeah,
mean,
I
at
think
the end
there's
of the
things
day,
the
it's about
NHL can
business.
yeah, I think there's things the NHL can do to have more eyes on the Winter Classic, maybe having better teams. Because I know you have to pre-announce it a year in advance because there's so much that goes into getting it ready. Because if it's in a football stadium, you have to work with whatever NFL team is there. Because there's a chance that they might be having home games late in December, early January. So you want to make sure you're not getting in the way of that. So you have to work around their schedule and very tight timetables, and teams have to accommodate for the travel. So I get you can't just wait like till a month before and say, okay, we want to have a best matchup possible for the Winter Classic. Let's have 2 good teams. Like you have to announce it ahead of time. But I mean, these last few years, I feel like the teams playing in the Winter Classic haven't been the
No, it
greatest
hasn't been good. It
options. Like
hasn't been good.
everyone knew Chicago was going to be bad this year. Like, and they are awful. I mean, last year was cool, Seattle and Vegas, but I don't think many people watched that game. I didn't watch that game.
Yeah, it was at like 3 o'clock on the West Coast.
Yeah, Boston, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Minnesota. So St. Louis gets 200 classics in 3 years.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, Dallas. I remember watching the Dallas one because Corey Perry got thrown out like the first
Yeah,
5 minutes of the game. Then he had to take that stupid long walk back
the
to the
Walk of
locker
Shame.
room. That was hysterical. Yeah, but one interesting note I did hear. I saw a clip of this yesterday. It was Gary Bettman was talking to the TNT guys before the game, and they were asking him like, "Oh, where's the next one going to be?" And they said they're going to announce it sometime next week. And he said that the place they're going to have it is going to surprise a lot of people. And when they announce it, people are going to say that the NHL is crazy. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to maybe think of some spots where they could possibly have a Winter Classic where everyone's going to say that's insane. You can't do that there.
Dallas.
They already did in Dallas.
Florida.
That's what I was thinking. Florida. That would be really cool to have an outdoor game in Florida somehow between Tampa and the Panthers. That would be a lot of fun.
Or no, never mind. It's gonna.
Because when he says crazy, it's gonna either be some like really historical field that isn't in like an NHL market, or it's gonna be in a warm weather climate.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think of like historical stadiums that they could possibly do off the top of my head.
I mean, they've done it in most historical stadiums that they can do it in.
Yeah. I I
Yeah,
I wonder honestly, I really wonder if it's gonna be like Florida, Tampa Bay. The game's gonna be held in my at Hard Rock Stadium for like
yeah, they
that's
could do it in Miami, or they can do it in Tampa at the Buck Stadium
yeah.
too.
So like that,
Maybe Vegas. Like, Vegas would be a crazy
I
one to
think
do.
Vegas would be cool if they could pull off Vegas. I wouldn't be
I
opposed to
mean, they
Vegas.
did have an outdoor game in Las Vegas a very long time ago, and I think it was like when Wayne Gretzky was playing for the Kings, and they had the Kings play a preseason game, I think, outdoor. But it was some crazy thing that was like it did not go very well because it was like in the '80s and the technology wasn't great, and it's in Las Vegas.
Very underprepared. I mean, that's why it happened in preseason because things could go horribly wrong if they then oh fucking well if they did, right? I mean, I yeah, I think honestly, I think Florida might be the only answer at this point. That's crazy, unless they pull some fucking hooligan shit that we can't think of right now. I
Because
mean,
they have done winter like outdoor games in
in
warmer
the
weather
South, yeah.
areas. I mean, they have done it in they did it in Dallas, but Dallas actually gets pretty chilly in the winter. They actually do have winter
hmm
there. They
They
did a couple in California,
hmm
Dodger Stadium, which was cool. Um, yeah, after that though, like I can't really think of anything super crazy. I mean, maybe they do an indoor stadium just to change things
okay.
up.
That would be fucking
That
nuts. That would
yeah,
be
I don't know.
nuts. What
I
if
mean, don't forget Canada might have it too. I mean, don't forget Canada exists.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to all the Canadians fans
I
that
don't know
you
why
guys
they never do a
exist.
Winter Classic game in Canada. I don't know why that always has to like they make that an
Gary
American
Bettman
thing.
hates Canada.
I mean, they do have the Heritage Classic, which isn't every year in Canada, which is usually features two Canadian teams. I know a
hmm
couple years ago they did Buffalo and Toronto. Buffalo's pretty much a Canadian team
Yeah.
anyway. I went to that game though too. That was a lot of fun also.
hmm
Uh, yeah, but the Winter Classic, there's work to be done on there. I think it starts with getting better opponents in there. I know it's a year out and ahead of time, but don't put the Blackhawks in it until they're good again, please.
Don't want to see them. Don't want to see them. Switch up the teams. Put in like two first-time teams like that. That would be sick.
I will say though, in probably a couple years, it's gonna be Pittsburgh and Buffalo again. It's gonna be the 20th anniversary. The Bills are opening a new stadium up in
hmm
Buffalo. I feel like that's a no brainer just for the 20th anniversary of the Winter Classic, just to have it in Buffalo again.
If that doesn't happen, we riot.
Yeah, that might be Sidney Crosby's last year too. So
Yeah, dude, that would be sick. Except this time Buffalo could come out on top. So, you know,
we'll see. Man, they might be in part 4 of their rebuild. So
all right. So changing over topics here to the World Juniors. I don't know how much World Juniors you've been watching. I haven't been watching a ton, to be honest with
I've been
you.
keeping a little bit of an eye on it. I did watch the Team USA versus Canada game yesterday, and that was kind of surprising how that went.
Yeah, I mean Canada shot themselves in the foot multiple times in that game, and I mean right now the quarterfinals are set. Latvia making their first ever quarterfinal
Good for them.
appearance.
Good
I
for
love
them.
it. They're on the come
I
up,
mean,
dude.
they had a huge upset over Canada.
In what was it? In a shootout, I think it was a 3-2 game. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
the
a three to
goalie
two in
had
a
like
shootout.
50 something
I think
saves.
he was like
Like,
52 or 54 on shots or something nuts like that.
yeah, no, I mean, good for them.
Do you have any surprises that really stick out to you?
I mean, I think the obvious one is Latvia,
Well, okay.
beating
Well, I'll
beating Canada. I
and the
mean,
fact
I
that
think
they
whenever Canada loses a game, like to not the United States, or I mean Sweden's really good. I think
mhm,
they went undefeated in their group. Just looking at, I mean, Finland's had a good tournament. They beat Team USA in overtime.
yeah.
That was Team USA's only loss. So just looking at the bracket, Canada survives, so their tournament's still alive. They got to play Czechia in the first round of the playoffs, of the quarterfinals. But Team USA was interesting watching them yesterday because Canada was I would say outplaying them in 5-on-5 play.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too many penalties. Too many penalties. Cole Eiserman had a really nice goal on the power play to kind of seal the win for Team USA. They were up 2-1, and Canada takes the late penalty, and he had a lethal shot. I still can't believe he fell as deep as he did in the draft.
All because of size. That's all it
Yeah, I
is.
mean, he's gonna be like another Cole Caulfield, I
Oh
think,
yes, the
where
Islanders got
like
them a
just a leaf,
gem.
and they needed a player like that
Yeah.
desperately, like a guy who could score goals, put some energy in that lineup because they're kind of an older, slower team. So I think whenever he's ready to play in the NHL, I think that'll be really good. Him and Matty Barzell are gonna be fun to watch together one day.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the bracket, I think, listen, Canada, you're good. Okay, you're actually really good. They got lucky; they don't have to play. They're not in the bracket with Latvia and the United United States.
Watch out for those Latvians, man.
I'm just kidding. It is good to see Latvia in there. In the United States, I think nothing's stopping them from getting gold right now. Like I know the goal whatever the U.S. goaltender is, it hasn't been deemed the strongest. I believe he's a starter at Michigan State University. That might be my only concern. But I mean, I'm excited to see where this goes, and it's matching up right now to be the U.S. against Canada in the gold medal game again.
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think Sweden is very, very good. You can't leave Finland out of that conversation. I
Yeah, of
think it's
course.
not set in stone. I mean, Team USA is a defending gold medals from
Hmm.
last year, so I mean, anything could happen. I would expect Canada to be a little bit more on their A game, especially because they're hosting the tournament this year in
Yeah.
Ottawa, so they're going to have the big crowd. I mean, they always get the big crowds in the World Juniors. I feel
Hmm.
like it means a little bit more in Canada than it does in other countries, for sure, because it's their game. They take a lot of pride in it.
Yeah, of
But
course.
I would say right now, I would say Sweden should be considered the favorite. I know they're not in that bracket with USA and Canada,
Hmm.
but they're gonna have to end up playing one of them to get to the gold medal game. And I think if they can, beat USA or Canada, I think they should be the gold medal favorites.
If they end up beating the U.S. in the semifinals, if both teams move on,
I
and
don't think
then
that's possible actually, because I think they reseed.
oh, do they
Uh,
reseed?
Yeah, and I think Sweden and US like they both won their group, so I
They're
don't think
yeah.
I think if they played each other, it would have to be the gold medal game.
Okay, I did not know. Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
says
they
it
do
says in the
reseed.
bracket they're reseeded for the
Yeah,
semifinals. So
I
yeah,
like that. I'm okay with that. I
I mean, you
guess.
might get a Team USA Canada rematch in the second round.
I mean, it's possible. The chips fall the right way.
Yeah,
Um.
definitely.
All right. So how about Alexander Ovechkin? He looks like he hasn't missed a beat. He came back. I know we talked a little bit about it on our last episode, but 5 weeks removed from coming back from that tibia injury in the upper leg, and his first two games he scores back-to-back goals. Like this dude, there's nothing that's gonna stop Alexander Ovechkin from getting the record this season. I truly think in April we're gonna be talking about him. He's 1 goal away. He's 2 goals away from tying or breaking the record, and it doesn't shock me.
I think it went from this season because he was horrible last year for most of the season. He kind of turned it on at the end of the year, and I think there was a legitimate concern that he might have been over the hill and he might be done. And it wasn't out of the question that he could break the record.
Hmm.
It's just, can he do it in 2 years? Like that was, I think that was the bigger thing. And then he starts off this year on a freaking hot streak, and he gets hurt. I think he would have had around 30 goals right now if he hadn't gotten hurt.
Yeah.
Honestly, like that's the kind of season he's been having. I think that conversation went from can he break the record to what is he going to do it this year, or does he have to wait till next year? Because I think it's breaking no matter what. Now he's 25 goals away. He's still how many games do the Caps have left to play?
I think about
They have they
50,
they've played 37 games, so
40,
yeah, in the 40s.
42,
So
43.
I think 25 goals in 40 games for Ovechkin is not out of the question at all. I know he's old, but he's still Ovi. He still has that shot.
In his last 5 games played, he has goals in 4 of them. He has 3 goals, 2 goals, 1 goal, and 1 goal. And then the game last night, he did not have a goal.
And if you're trying to tell me that these players aren't trying super hard to help Ovi break that record, you're crazy. Because that I think that whole organization, every single one of his teammates, they're all bought into him trying to break
Hmm.
that record. Obviously, like they're not going to force feed him. I mean, but if they get an empty net, they're going to know we the puck.
He's going to be on the ice or getting in the puck and he's potting it. I don't care
Yeah,
how any of these goals come. Just empty net, goalie in it. In the crease. I don't care. Like this record that he's about to break with Wayne Gretzky's scoring record. This was talked about. It would never be touched. Nobody's coming close
I
to it.
mean, most of Wayne Gretzky's records are untouchable. I still
Yes.
think no one will ever even come close to him in career points. I mean, I know Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon are having like they already have had Hall of Fame careers.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if anyone will ever get close to Wayne Gretzky's point record. It's so absurdly high. Like I just don't know if it's possible nowadays in the NHL.
Yeah.
But that the goals was another record that you never thought would be broken. And from what I've heard, Wayne Gretzky's all for Ovi breaking it. Wayne Gretzky probably never even thought back in the day, like, yeah, no one's ever gonna touch these things. He probably never worried about it, but it's something special, and I'm glad the whole community is kind of cheering together for Ovi to break this record. It's cool to see.
Yeah. We're witnessing history. Like this is he's gonna rewrite the history books. And like going to your point about Wayne Gretzky's points, I was talking about it at work the other day with the customer. Like we look at Connor McDavid, who in this league right now is most likely to end up getting as close as possible to Wayne Gretzky's record, but he has to put up what another 2,000, a little bit under 2,000 points in the next 10, 12 seasons. He's already in his 10th season and he's not even halfway there yet. Like that's what we're talking about here. Like McDavid would have to average, I think, 150 or 160 points a season. Obviously, it fluctuates, but
No, that I genuinely don't think that record is ever going to be broken.
no, it's not. It's not going to.
Like I don't think no one's ever touching his assists. 1,963 assists. Like I don't think that's ever being touched either. I think McDavid could get close, but I still think that's an unbreakable record.
That's unbreakable. And going back to the goals thing, okay, you might call me crazy because I don't know the averages of how much average goals this player would have to average in a season, whatever. We're looking at Ovi now about to break the record, like we talked about. What if a certain player on the Toronto Maple Leafs, Austin Matthews, do we think if Ovi breaks this and retires after this season, he doesn't play next season, let's say he gets 900 goals, whatever, for example. I wonder if Austin Matthews could come close to breaking this
I mean,
record.
if there's any player in the league right now that I think would have a legit chance, it'd be him.
Because I don't want to sit here and say, "Oh, Ovi's record's going to be unbreakable, or whatever." Because I'm sure people our age 20 years ago said the same thing about Gretzky's record, and now look at it, it's about to be broken. I don't know how many career goals Matthews has. I'd have to look
Doing
at that.
the math real quick. So
Yeah.
he has 379 career goals in
Okay.
586 games. Let me do the math real quick and how much Matthews has had compared to Ovi. After so
I
this
think
is
they're
one,
really
2, 3, 4,
close.
5, 6, 7, 8. 8 full seasons for Austin Matthews. I'm not going to count the goals this year just to see what he averaged over. So 47 plus 47 plus Jesus Christ, 41, 60, 40 plus 69. So first 8 years, 369 goals for Austin Matthews.
Okay.
Let me do Ovi now. So Ovi 52, 46, 55, 56, 50, 32, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 plus 32. So right around the same,
What was Ovi's?
371.
Okay, so they were literally two off. Matthews had two less goals.
Yeah, so if anyone could do it, I think it's Austin Matthews. He only has 11 goals this year, but he's only played 24
I'm pretty
games.
sure he's out for a while this season too.
Yeah, he missed a good amount of time. I think he's back now. Actually no, he hasn't been playing. Yeah,
Yeah,
so his last game was December 20th.
he's been out. Apparently, there's stuff going around that he might miss the majority of the rest of the season, which
He
is
has like back
crazy.
issues going on, right?
Yeah, he has something. It's something lingering that
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
hope
know.
he gets it figured out. But like I said, if there's any active player in the NHL right now, I think could even be in that conversation, it would be Austin Matthews. I think he's the only guy though.
So it's the start of the new year, and we haven't talked a lick of rookies outside of our Calder prediction. How about let's do a rookie check-in with some of these guys, with Michkov, Celebrini, Lane Hudson. They all look really, really good. Some disappointing guys like Stankoven. I didn't think he was gonna light the lamp, but he hasn't been great. Cutter Gauthier hasn't been all right. I will say Will Smith has looked really good. I know he only has 13 points in the 30-plus games, but he looks phenomenal. Him and Celebrini, man, in San Jose is going to be fun to watch. I'm excited for
I
it.
think Will Smith might be need a little bit more time to cook. I think
Hmm.
Celebrini's ready now. I think I think we talked about this earlier, like a while ago when we were talking about the Sharks. I get why Will Smith's playing in the NHL. I don't think there's too much to gain from him playing in the AHL, but I think he's learning a lot this year. I'll give him that, but he's not. I think he's having a little bit of a disappointing season compared to what people thought he was going to be.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit disappointing with his expectations. Now, if you set realistic expectations, you would be okay with the season he's having. If you set the expectations of, oh, it's going to be a top 3 rookie, he's going to be a Calder finalist, maybe even top 5. I honestly thought maybe he'd be out of your mind. Like, a lot of people were picking this dude to be a Calder finalist, and I'm not going to sit here and shit on Will Smith because I just said that he's having a good season, and by the eye test, he looks good. But there's just other guys with Michkov, Celebrini, Lane Hudson, like even Stan Colvin is still in there as a top 4 rookie. Like, and then who is it? Maxime Tus? I don't even know how you pronounce that. Um,
You can just call him Max T.
Max T. Okay, I like it. Max T. On the Islanders is having a phenomenal season too. So, like,
Yeah.
there's some competition with some of these rookies, and I don't think it's Will Smith's fault. I think he's one of those guys that's just gonna learn in the NHL. I don't think he ever goes down to the AHL at all. I think he's just gonna be up here with Celebrini, and they're gonna be
Oh, I
learning the game
agree. I agree
together.
with you. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, Macklin Celebrini looks
He
the
looks like
part of a first overall pick. He's
yes.
had a terrific year. Michkov, I think, is living up to the hype too. Because I remember in his draft year, they were like, if he wasn't in draft with Connor Bedard and he wasn't playing in Russia, he'd be the first overall pick in almost any other draft. Like outside of like maybe Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews.
And then he dropped because they were worried he was gonna not be over for 2 or 3 years. And then last
Well, I
winter,
think teams were concerned that he wouldn't sign with them because I remember there was rumors floating around there that he told certain teams like if you
I think
draft
there
me,
were
I will
only I
legit
think I
not come to America.
I think there was only 1 or 2 teams that he said that to.
I'm
I
guessing one of them was Arizona.
yeah. I don't know who. There was a rumor, correct? I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I think there was a rumor that he said that to the Canadians too.
I think he might have said that to Washington as well.
Something along the lines. And
Because
then,
I thought it would make all the sense in the world for the Capitals to draft him. I think they
yeah.
did. They ended up passing on him, or I don't know if Philly picked him before Washington was on the clock. I'm curious about that now. NHL draft.
I don't know if Mishkov either went 7th or 9th, I thought.
No, so yeah, Philly picked him before Washington had a chance to because I thought there was a really decent chance that Washington was going to pick him because they already have a history with Russian players. They have the best Russian player of all time, Alex Ovechkin, and I thought that would have been a no-brainer. It's like if anyone's going to get him to come over and play right away, it's Ovechkin to have a chance to play with. I'm assuming he's most Russian hockey players like heroes. Ovechkin,
Yeah.
I can imagine. So, but Philly scooped him up before Washington had a chance. I do think Washington would have took him if he was there.
Who did they take after Michkov?
Ryan Leonard.
That's right. Okay. I guess that's not a bad second option, but like Michkov, man,
Yeah.
like I
Well, the fact that he was even available at 7 is crazy.
I really, really, really thought no matter what that team was gonna take him second, and these teams really didn't want to take a risk on him, and now he's tearing it up for Philly. Briere has his guy in Philly. They needed somebody like this
Well,
badly.
I think Philly was like also. I think Philly expected to wait 2 or 3 years for him to come over because he
Hmm.
had just signed that contract in the KHL, and then he ended up coming over after a year, which I think was a little bit of a surprise for Philly because Philly I think has a plan for what they're trying to do, and I think Michkov coming over sooner kind of advanced that a little bit. But Briere is cooking. Let him cook.
And then like Lane Hudson in Montreal, he had a rough start to the season, but he's really picked it up for the Canadians. He's the future of that blue line. I don't know why he gets so much hate for quite literally no reason. Like, okay, I go on social media. I'm not a huge social media person, but people that get mad at Canadians fans for hyping up their rookie defenseman, like that makes no sense. So then he gets a bad rap, like on Instagram, on Twitter, whatever it is. But Layton Hudson, he should be a top 3 candidate for rookie of the year right now. A
I
Calder
mean,
finalist.
if he keeps playing at this pace, he will be a finalist. I think right now it's a two-head race between Michkov and Celebrini for who's going to win,
Yeah.
for sure. But I think Late Hudson, especially as a defenseman, I think deserves to be in that conversation. Because one thing I always like to tell people when they're talking about rookies is, defense is a much harder position to transition to playing to right away in the NHL, especially as a young player. Like there's much more responsibilities as a defenseman, especially on a team like Montreal where the defense core isn't great. You don't have the greatest goaltending in the world, so you're going to score on a lot of confidence issues. But in defense, you make one bad mistake, you peel off your guy a little too early, or you leave a guy open, and you're not staying on your assignment. Puck is in the back of your net. When I think forwards have a little bit more leeway to learn and make mistakes, not as much as the defensemen. And I think that's one thing Montreal is doing really well with their young players is they're letting them make mistakes. And I think Marty St. Louis has been really, really good with them about that.
That's like, as a rookie defenseman, like most rookie defensemen we see coming nowadays are puck movers. Let's be honest. That's where the blue
Yeah.
line's transitioning to. People like players that are really good on their edges and with the puck, whatever. So when you have a guy like Lane Hudson's caliber and his stature and play style, whatever, you just have to let him go out there and play how he wants to play instead of first year he comes in. Okay, I know you're a puck mover, but we really need you to be a shutdown defenseman. No, because he's going to struggle, and then he's going to be labeled a bust by all these media experts, and then he's not. It's going to ruin his development in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, but I think Montreal, is doing a pretty solid job. I think developing their younger players across the board. I think Marty St. Louis been a good. I don't know if he's the right coach for them once they're done getting closer to the end of this rebuild.
Yeah.
But I think for right now with this young team, I think he's done an excellent job for them. I mean, Nick Suzuki, is he really a prospect anymore? I mean, he's 25, so
No,
I'm
no,
gonna
no, no,
say
no.
no.
I think he's a young stud. I would call him a young stud.
I think he's like on the verge of being a superstar. I think
I
he's been that good.
yeah, he's been great for them. Do you have his stats in front of you right now?
Yeah, so 37 games, 11 goals, 25 assists.
I love
25
it.
assists.
I love it.
So
I
yeah,
love it.
Cole Caulfield. I'd say he's not a prospect anymore, but he is a young
He's
stud.
a yes.
But they did a really good job developing him.
Oh, they took their time with it. Like the Canadians are gonna be, they're doing the rebuild the right way. Like they're in a couple years they're gonna be good. Like
I mean,
you,
Slavkovsky, I think, is starting to find his game. I know a lot of people were calling him a bust, but I think he still has a really bright future. Don't forget about their prospect pool they have coming up. They've had a lot of really high draft picks too with what was it, David Reinbacker,
yeah.
defenseman, potential number one defenseman coming up the way. You already have Lane Hudson playing well in the NHL as a rookie, as a 20-year-old defenseman. So I think Montreal's in a good spot right now.
And they traded for Patrick Laine too. By the way, he's only 26 years old, people. So he's a part of this core. Like,
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the biggest thing for Line is he's just having fun again.
yeah, that's what the Martin St. Louis is instilling in these guys. Who cares about anything? Just go out there, have fun again, play hockey. And I think he was the perfect coach. Like, I don't know if we talked about him being hired or whatever. Maybe that is a little bit too early. But talking about it now, he was the perfect coach for that Canadians team. He understands the system. He is Cole Caulfield is basically a version of Martin St. Louis.
I think
So
Randy St. Louis is the perfect coach for Cole Caulfield in general because if there's anybody in the world that you could have coach a undersized forward is Marty St. Louis, one of the best undersized forwards ever. He's a Hall of Famer for a reason.
yes, sir.
And I think Cole Caulfield's learned a ton from him, and I think Cole Caulfield might have 40 goals this year. I know I like the joke online. I think Chris has said this before. Is like they hype him up like he's the best 40 goal scorer ever that's never scored 40 goals.
Well, it's gonna happen now.
We'll see. I mean, but they talk about him like he's like a 40, 50 goal scorer a year.
I,
I mean, he definitely has the shot for it.
he has the potential to get 40, 50 goals in his career. I think he reaches 50 goals at least once or twice in his career. He has that good of a shot. His release is some of the best in the game. it's going to end it for today's episode. If you guys enjoy all of our content, all of our socials are down below, as well as the subscribe button. If you guys are listening on Apple and Spotify, head over to our YouTube, subscribe there for more exclusive content. We'll see you guys in our next episode.